What's going on, everybody? We've got some big changes coming to Act 6. Massive changes. In fact, I would go as far to say it's an overhaul. We're going to go through each of the changes, and I'm going to try to keep things factual to start before sharing my own opinion later on, along with a quick story about me trying to design my own quest in MCOC, talking to the devs about that. It's only a very quick story, but I'll share that later on. So, real quick, I just want to pick out the highlights of the changes because it's a long post. Not going to read through all the details. Here's a quick rundown of things that are changing. The rarity and class gates in Act 6.2 are being removed. That's why I'm in this quest where you can literally see every single gate in here. All of this stuff completely getting removed. Then we have the choice nodes that are being added to Act 6. Those are the nodes that if you've done Act 7, you know that at the end of the path, you can click, you walk through a node that allows you to either keep going or swap out a champion. So all that stuff is being retroactively added to Act 6. The energy cost per step is being reduced in Acts 5 and 6. And basically it's being reduced from 3 per step down to 2, which might not sound like such a big deal, but honestly that is a massive cut to the energy cost in order to get through Acts 5 and 6. Then we have the champion boss being reworked. There's quite a bit changing to the champion boss. They're even removing some of these linked nodes here and keeping some of the others. And then I don't know, one thing I want to call out is that the final 10%, if you've been stuck or you've been, maybe put off by the way that you have to complete this all in one go, the final 10% at least, well, that's changing. It used to be 5 indestructible charges. They had to get rid of the champion. They nerfed it one time down to 3, and now they're essentially making it 3 persistent indestructible charges, which means your progress is going to be saved from attempt to attempt. So if you go in and you're only able to get 1 of the indestructible charges off of the champion in the past, or currently I should say, you'd have to revive and he would have all 3 every single time you start the fight. He'd have all 3. But now when you revive, you go back in again, your progress is saved. So if you removed 1 in the previous attempt, well, that one is gone forever. You're down to needing only to remove 2 indestructible charges. So you can revive 100 times, and your progress is always going to be saved, and you're no longer going to get roadblocked by the champion if you were. So what are my thoughts on this? Well, I actually want to go look at Act 7 before I share some of my thoughts. We can click on virtually any quest in Act 7, and they're all going to be virtually the same. You start a path, whatever path you want, right? And let's count the fights. We've got, starting with Hulkbuster here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... and then we take this portal over here, puts us right in front of the champion selector where, we can swap out a character or skip this if we want, and then a boss. 6 fights, and then the boss. Let's actually go look at Act 8. This is actually the Act 8 beta, since Act 8 is not officially released yet, and I don't know, let's just click on any random quest in Act 8. Let's start it up, and let's take a little look-see. So let's assume we go up the middle here to the left. So starting with Venom the Duck, let's do a quick count here. 1, 2, take another teleporter, 3, 4, 5, 6, take another teleporter, and looks like we have a champion selector here. Yep, same as Act 7, and then we can take our pick of any of these bosses. So, again, I want to keep this kind of factual. I'm trying to not really inject my opinion on things. But if I was to use some words to objectively describe, content after Act 6, so Act 7 and Act 8, I would say predictable. It's 6 fights, a champion selector, and then your pick of the boss. So you can kind of make that prediction, right? It's formulaic. You could write like a basic script of like, if story quest then 6 fights champion selector boss. You know, it's the same, and it feels like that's kind of what's being retroactively performed on Act 6. Now, I'm not saying that these words are bad, right? There's a lot of things in life that are predictable or formulaic, I mean, pizza, right? Pizza's good. And every time you get pizza, you want it to be good. You want them to follow their recipe. You want them to, it's okay to, be the same every time. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But now I'm going to get into kind of my opinions on things where I really miss Act 6 the way it was. I think it's fine that it's changing, because I think it's old content at this point. I think 6.2 came out 3 years ago, and for it to be as difficult as it is, I think nerfing it's fine. I do miss having content that was not so predictable or not so formulaic. The type of content that was, a lot more unique. It allowed me to make some of my favorite videos of all time, which I recommend checking out if you haven't seen them. Basically, I did an item list in 6.2, which I thought this was funny as I was going through some of my old videos. This was a poll of what would you guys prefer to see me do in Act 6.2. This was a top 40 all legends run, a marathon, 15 to 24 hour stream right away. Hopefully hit top 100 legends. And then item list, and I mean, I'll explain it quickly. Here, check out my original reaction to seeing this poll. And the third option here, an item list casual pace run, almost no one cares about. I just thought that was kind of funny how before I actually did item lists, so few people actually gave a damn at all about the idea that most of the people did not vote for item lists. But today, a lot of people are still ask me to do item lists for like the next piece of content coming out. Some people still don't care, and that's fine, but just thought it was interesting to kind of see going back. And I bet if I made a poll today, it would look a lot different. I think I did make some polls, but I don't know what live streams those are in. Just happened to find this one. Anyway, going back to these videos, the way I kind of look at, my relationship with, the game or the devs on like a, content creation side of things is that basically I'm taking whatever the devs make, I hopefully something awesome, and then that gives me like a good foundation to then make my own sort of creation on top of it. And it's not just people that make videos, it's people that make maps or art, like Cat or websites. Not me with the websites, obviously, but you need like the foundation. You need the game to be good and interesting, and Act 6 was really interesting. It allowed me to make some of my personal favorite videos. I normally don't think my videos are that good, but this one in particular I could definitely recommend. This was the Mr. Sinister boss in 6.2.2 that I needed a full team. It felt like a solo raid boss. This dude was so hard, unless you had like one of the most perfect counters to him. You had to go in there with a full team of champions. It was so brutally hard to do. Well received video, definitely recommend. It's only 6 minutes long. And then there was another video here that I really liked. This, in my opinion, is like the most epic quest ever to exist in MCOC. It took me 2 hours just to get to the boss in this quest. And then I had to defeat the boss on top of that. It's all boiled down in less than 11 minutes. Definitely recommend checking it out. It has fewer views than the previous video, but in my opinion, I actually think this video might be better. I don't know. They're both good, but it represented a different time in MCOC too, where like, you look at a boss like the champion, and kind of how I said it was like almost like a solo raid boss, this Mr. Sinister. That's kind of how I felt about the champion, where there was different phases, and regardless of if you're doing item lists or making YouTube videos or any of that stuff, just playing the game, how many people out there had strategies for like the first part of the fight and then they had to, swap in a different champion like Thing or Cap IW to do the last 10% of the fight. It was really cool, man. Comparing that to like Act 7 today, Act 7, it's like you do your 6 fights, and then you swap in Magneto for the boss at the end, where you're expected to kind of get a solo there. You might not always get the solo, or it's still not super forgiving if you make a mistake or something like that, but it's just such a stark contrast to the experience of going through Act 6. And of course, a lot of people prefer the Act 7 experience. If we made a poll and said, hey, do you like Act 6 better or Act 7? The vast majority of people that I've heard from say they like Act 7 better. And that's totally fine. There are certain things that I like about Act 7. I'm not saying it's all bad. And there's even some things about Act 6. As much as, this is kind of like my love letter to 6.2 in some ways. There are things about it that I didn't really care for. Like, I like the class gates, but I don't think it should have been restricted to 5 stars. I think it should have just been class, and then you could bring in whatever star level of champions as long as they meet the requirement of, the tech class or something like that. Because what it did was it made my roster progression a lot more, I was a lot more deliberate with my rank ups and how I was, trying to target the champions I was going for, because I don't have the strongest tech roster. And if I have to bring 4 tech champions to a path, I've got like 1 or 2 that I'd like to bring, but then, even some of those, like, you want to bring in synergies and they might not be of the same class type, and it makes things difficult. But every new champion that comes out and you're like, oh man, I really, this champion, don't even know what class type they are yet, but every month just looking forward to, a good tech champion or a good cosmic champion back before there were a lot of good cosmic champions or whatever, it made every new champion being released that much more exciting, and just trying to get my hands in them, because I felt like, I can finally get through this content if I could just get this champion and get them ranked up. And now it's a lot more ranking just for fun, which is cool, but I do miss that sense of having to rank with a purpose rather than just being like, oh, rank that one. There was something really enjoyable about that process. It felt like everything had a lot more meaning behind it. Going through this content, it felt like I had to, actually activate my brain to figure out a good way to get through, rather than kind of just shutting down my brain to, go through the 6 quests, hit the teleporter, fight the boss, rinse and repeat over and over and over and over again. It's for all of the complaints that there are of Act 6, which I get, I understand. And like I said, I'm fine with things changing. It's the content came out 3 years ago. I'm okay that Kabam has decided to, go ahead and hit the content with a Nerf bat in a big way. It's just 3 years ago was the height of challenge in MCOC, and I haven't felt challenged like that since. PvP content will always be challenging because, you're going up against someone else who's trying their best. So Alliance War and Battlegrounds, and it's cool that those areas of the game exist. And I would consider myself a PvP kind of player. In past games that I've played, I was more interested in the PvP side of things. But I have always liked the PvE side of things too. And to not really, have to use my brain to get through story content anymore, it's... I just miss it, I guess, is what I'm getting at. I just miss it. So I wish that not every quest coming out was the same. Which brings me to a little bit of a story time. Very, very brief story. It's a quick one. So a few years ago at Comic-Con, I think it was 2017. This is the video. This is the video on the Dork Lessons channel here, posted from 2017, and I think 2017 was the first year that I talked to Luke. I don't have my own interview with Luke because I just decided to talk to him without any camera being on. I just wanted it to be a real conversation. And we talked for a while, man. I don't remember how long, but it felt like a very long talk. Honestly, one of the best talks I've ever had with any dev ever. Luke is the executive producer of MCOC, really knows his stuff. And you know, I don't know him on a personal level outside of the few conversations that I've had, but like I said, man, I really enjoyed those conversations. So at that Comic-Con, this is now 5 years ago, I remember we were just kind of like walking out of Comic-Con or something like that, and they were like shutting us down or something, and then I just kind of casually mentioned, I was like, hey man, you think I could make a quest in MCOC? And it was just like, yeah. They did. The conversation didn't really go much further than that because that was like the end of the night. Again, they were like, you know, telling us to get out of the Javits Center where Comic-Con was held. But I always wanted to make my own quest because, you know, I think of games as like the ultimate artistic expression. It might sound a little, you know, pretentious to describe it that way or something, I don't know, but you're creating this world for players to be in. And so I always had a bunch of ideas, a bunch of cool things to do with quests, and I don't know if it's up to the quest designers, if it's their choice to make each quest the same these days, or if that's just something that's decided on on like a studio level where they're like, listen, we need to make content faster. It takes too long to make more unique quests. There's been other unique quests before Act 6. Remember 5.3? Listen, 5.3, it ended up not being that cool, but they tried something different in 5.3 where they had those keys to get through the different quests. Like I said, it ended up not being that cool, but it was a cool concept. At least it was something different, and I would much rather, you know, see that kind of artistic expression from the devs, and to the point where like I wanted to do something like that myself, even because I thought it would be so cool to do, rather than just having, you know, the same quest over and over, just with a slight variation in the champions we fight and some of the nodes. So yeah, I don't know. There's my very quick story. Like I said, just a small one. I don't know if I'll ever get that opportunity to design a quest. Probably not. This was long before it was, I actually applied to work for Kabam, which, obviously that didn't happen either. But I wasn't trying to even get paid. I just like wanted to create something cool just because I thought it would be cool. Anyway, that's kind of, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about very quickly. If you look through some of the comments, there's a wide range of feelings in the comments here. I bet let's control F compensation. Compensation. Okay, so there's a few people talking about compensation. You can see this is match two of 11 matches. So here's my recommendation for people asking for compensation. Listen, no offense to this person, but try taking the word compensation out of your vocabulary for a little while, because it's being overused like crazy. If you did Act 6 before it got nerfed, the rewards were better. Rewards diminish as time goes on, as other content comes out. The compensation for going through it earlier is that those rewards were more relevant to the time when that content is released. You don't need compensation for going through something that was more difficult. I was very happy to see some people actually wanted to get through the content quickly before it got nerfed. So there's like a wide range of comments, but some people actually just really wanted to get through it before it's nerfed so that they could experience the hard version of the content, which technically it has been nerfed already a little bit, hate to say, but I think that's cool too. That's kind of what I would have wanted to do, is just like, oh, let me get through it before it gets nerfed. I want the challenge. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on it all. Let me know what you guys think about all this. Oh, one very quick last point. If they added challenge modes to story content going forward, I think that would actually solve a lot of the issues that I personally have. They could have done that with Act 6, where like the no retreat node on the champion, that could have been a special bonus and not required to get through 100%, and I would have been totally fine with something like that, you know? If they did that going forward, I still think that would be cool. Something I've wanted to see for a while, but may not see, because technically it might be difficult to pull off. I don't know. All right, anyway, that's real final thought this time. Thank you all for watching. We'll continue discussing this during tonight's live stream. Hope to see you there. Take care, everybody.